Hello, everyone. I'm Aaron Wallace with Engaging Arkansas Communities, and I'm here with Patrick Ingram at the Encompass HPG Conference. Hey, Patrick, how are you?
Doing well yourself?
Doing great. You presented today. How did that go?
It went really well. I think that the session was really engaging. I learned a lot about what homelessness, but also PrEP looks like in Arkansas. So one of the things I took away that was really exciting for me is that a lot of the work and the innovation and collaboration, it's happening in Arkansas. So that was great to hear about.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me,
So I'll start by saying, I am from the South, born in North Carolina. I spent a lot of my time in Virginia.
Love North Carolina. Okay. I'm a big fan of Wilmington.
I love spending my time in North Carolina. I like to find time to go home. I currently right now live in Minnesota. I am the Community Outreach and Prevention Program Supervisor at the Red Door Clinic. We're under the Hennepin County Public Health Clinical Services, but we're the largest sexual health clinic in the state. And so I'm doing that right now. I have been living with HIV for over 10 years. I am a Black gay man. And so I have a lot of intersectionality to the work, but also a lot of intersectionality and passion around improving health outcomes for community.
So you said you've been living with HIV for 10 years.
Yeah.
How was that when you found out?
Yeah, so it's been, 2011. So I think 13 years. I actually found out on World AIDS Day. I talk about this on I have a blog. It's called The Pause Life of Patrick, but I talk about that on my blog. But I was dealing with thrush on my tongue. I had lost a lot of weight. I just was not feeling my best. And I was watching Bono from U2 on World AIDS Day talk a little bit about the importance of HIV and getting tested and treatment. And I had that moment in my mind where I was like, if I don't do this now, I'm going to be apathetic about it and not care about HIV for the rest of my life. So I used that opportunity on World AIDS Day to go get tested, and that's where I was diagnosed and found out I was living with HIV.
Sometimes just that first time getting tested is so scary.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I was ever tested, all I could think was, oh, my life, if it ever came back positive, my life is over.
Yeah.
That was before, I know the things I know now.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone who is newly diagnosed or scared to go get that first test?
Yeah, I think, for folks who are scared to get, tested for HIV, just take a moment to take stock in knowing that knowledge is power. Knowing that if I get tested for HIV, I at least have an idea of where I'm at. I'm either living with HIV or I'm negative. And then you're in a position to make decisions after that. So if you're negative, you can get on PrEP or consider getting on Doxy Pep and thinking about other ways to have a healthier and safer sex life. And if you're living with HIV, you can think about, how do I get into treatment? How do I set up my life to be successful on treatment? But I think also additionally, thinking about other things like Doxy Pep or thinking about finding a provider that meets you where you're at so you can have a healthier life. So I think for both sides, you need to think about, I hold space for you to think about, is the knowledge going to be helpful for you? And I think, when you're ready to get tested, I think that's another important thing too. When you're ready, don't place yourself in a very unsafe situation where you're forced to test when you're not ready, because that can be traumatic. So just being in a space where you can maybe connect with friends that you trust. If you have a provider, or, reach out to your local community-based organization and really talk to somebody and build up enough confidence in being ready. I'll be honest, you can never really be ready for a positive diagnosis, but you can have established around you a good foundation. To that point, I think having good friends around you that you trust, that you can talk to about this, either the contemplation or when you find out your status, people that you can rely on, but also recognizing that you don't have to tell anybody your status. This is your business. You don't have to share it with anybody until you are ready.
And the good thing about getting tested is if it does come back positive, the sooner you get into treatment and medication, the sooner you can get to undetectable status.
Yes.
And I know I have a lot of people around my life that they don't know what U equals U means. They don't know what PrEP is. They're amazed when I tell them what Doxy Pep is. I'm like, if you let's just say you went out, had sex unprotected, and you pop two two little pills, and within 72 hours.
Yep.
And you should be.
Yeah, the studies show that the data shows y'all that if you're taking Doxy Pep within 72 hours after, potential exposure, that you will have a higher likelihood of not acquiring an STI. And so I think even 65% is better than no percent protection. And so I think that's important to say. I mean, I think it's important to recognize how Doxy Pep is so critical to improving a healthier sex life. And I think, to your point, also just the sooner you know about your HIV status, the sooner you can be on the journey towards becoming virally suppressed. And we all know that when you're undetectable, the studies have shown in science, and when we think about the CDC and the World Health Organizations, and everyone is shouting from the rooftops that if you have an undetectable viral load, you cannot transmit HIV sexually. And so that's really important. I think that's also for folks not living with HIV, who may not be familiar with U equals U. It's important to get on board because you can have sex with someone who's living with HIV, especially for those who are undetectable, and be okay. And that's the thing about when you think about the utilization of PrEP, or even being in care for HIV, you're going to be seeing a provider every 3 months. And so that's where I also talk about why PrEP is really important for folks not living with HIV. It's because it helps to also maintain a level of standard and really high quality of sexual health care. So if something were to pop up like syphilis and gonorrhea or chlamydia, that's okay. But the good thing is we're seeing you every 3 months, so we're finding that out early so we can adequately treat it, and we're making sure that you're having a healthier life. So definitely getting on PrEP is really important when we think about your whole person approach to your care. But then also, if you're in care for HIV, that's also important too. You're coming in every 3 months. And, usually people living with HIV will see a provider more times than not, quite often. So your health is really at the forefront, and you're getting the care and attention. So, for folks out there like thinking about or like having folks that reach out to you that are living with HIV and are undetectable, don't stigmatize it, don't knock it, because these are folks that are actually living healthy and happy lives.
And it's so easy to get on PrEP these days, and Doxy Pep, because I went through with EAC, we are with CareQ, and I scheduled the appointment, did the blood test, they prescribed the medicine, and then I got a few more tests I had to do at home. I was like, this is so easy and so simple, and I know I'm protected, my partner's protected, and that's a great feeling knowing that you're doing.
That's good to hear. And I think, you have like a whole bunch of providers. You have NERCS, NURX.com, Mr. QCare Plus. So you don't have to necessarily see a provider in your neck of the woods to get on PrEP. You could literally navigate one of those services in the privacy of your home and get PrEP to protect your sexual health life.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add about, about living with HIV or about overcoming stigma?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I really think is important is having a level of resilience. I think navigating your sexual health, even if regardless of your status, there's going to be a need to be resilient. And I think more importantly, just for me, just a big thank you for being invited to come out and provide the training around people experiencing homelessness and supporting PrEP uptake. It's always a pleasure to come out and share my experience, but also like have the opportunity to engage folks from across the country. So I'm just happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, well, thank you so much for presenting at the conference and here talking to us. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks so much.